What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. It is time for the final injury report of the week from the Seahawks. That's right. We now have a pretty good idea of what we are going to be looking at this Sunday. Real quick, the Rams side of things is super easy, so I'll blow through that right now. The Rams injury report is Cooper Kupp out, Stetson Bennett out. Both those guys might go on IR, but we only really care about this one game. And then Hunter Long, their backup tight end, is out. So the only one that really matters is Cooper Kupp. Maybe the tight end would have played a tiny bit if he was healthy, but he's obviously not a big part of that offense, so probably not. They don't use multiple tight ends that often in that Rams offense if they can help it. Although maybe they would have because Cooper Kupp's out. Who knows? But that's really it. They didn't really have anything else on the injury report. So if anything happens from this point, it would be kind of an out-of-nowhere thing. So the Rams situation is clear. And honestly, the Seahawks situation is relatively clear as well. So let's run it down. Two players are out. They're the two players that we knew were going to be out pretty much all week. Kenny McIntosh and Jamal Adams, not playing. Nobody's listed as doubtful, which is awesome. And we have two players who are questionable. We have Witherspoon. Fully expected him to be questionable. Still don't really know what's going to happen there. And Damien Lewis. And Damien Lewis would actually be a little bit of a loss. However, Carroll did specify that Damien Lewis is probably going to play. He can't put the probable designation on him because it doesn't exist anymore. But he did say that we expect him to play. Should be fine. He just banged his shoulder a little bit. And we have to put him on there as a technicality, but there's no real concern there. So one notable omission from this list would be K9. K9 is not listed here, and it seems like he was just kind of held out as a sort of practice management kind of thing. It was not really related to any injury, like, oh, he got hurt, his groin got hurt. It had more to do with just limiting his reps in practice, which makes sense, right? By running back standards, K9 is a veteran now. He's been in the league multiple years. This is his second year. So for a running back, he's kind of a veteran already. I know that sounds weird, but running backs do not last that long in this league. So no need to put a big load on him in practice. We know how good he can be. We know how good he was for us last year, and we know how good he can be going forward. So makes sense to take it a little bit easy on him. So I support that, and it sounds like we just needed to write some reason, so we did groin. Some other notes, this is a Pete Carroll talking about Damien Lewis. He's fine, expected to play. This was kind of the one area where things could have become a problem, right? Because we're playing against Aaron Donald, the only really good player on that defense. Not having your interior offensive line in the right state might be a problem. Against that, it's something that could allow Aaron Donald to kind of take over the game on his own. But it sounds like we're going to have him out there, so can't really be too concerned about anything. He is our best offensive lineman, and even if he's not at completely 100%, if we're putting him out there, I think you can feel relatively comfortable that he's close enough. I will say this. We don't really have a backup left guard. It's Ben Brown, I guess, who wasn't even on the team until around the cutdowns, and you could bump Phil Haynes over and then play who at right guard, Evan Brown, Anthony Bradford, and then you're maybe put in like it gets messy, admittedly, right? So I guess there is some possibility of us pushing Damien Lewis out there quicker than we would like because of the situation on the roster, but doesn't seem like that's the case. So we're just going to have to get to game day and figure it out by watching the game and seeing how he plays. Pete Carroll also offered up some stuff on Witherspoon. He may be able to play, but we have to think long term. So I'm kind of feeling like, I think the vibe is very clearly he will not play. We do not need him, and he hasn't had a full practice in about a month now. So we can afford to have him sit out this one game or play very limited in this one game. They don't have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was possibly, if Witherspoon had had a full off season, Witherspoon, I really think he's the guy you might have sicked on Cooper Kupp, because the skill set just kind of matches. Witherspoon's the kind of guy you would want chasing Kupp around, I think, more so than even a Tariq Woolen. As good as Woolen is, I don't know if that's really what you want to be doing with him. So this will hopefully be an opportunity for him to sit and watch for a week and then be back for week 2 when we're playing against Amon-Ra St. Brown in this pretty good Detroit offense. So going to have to probably have him out there for that. So not expecting Witherspoon personally. It just doesn't make sense all the way around. You think about what you have to lose versus what you have to gain. I don't see it. You've been kind of, and I'm sorry to have to use this term, blessed a little bit by not having to play the Rams' top receiver. You can take advantage of that a little bit by managing your players. So we also had this from Pete, per Greg Bell. No issues for JSN. No limitation. Should be able to play a full slate of snaps. He did talk about how there was a little bit of an adjustment period. He did talk about how there was definitely some things he had to do a little differently because of the injury, but he believes he's made those adjustments and he's ready to go. So 2.5 weeks after his wrist surgery, JSN is ready to play a full slate. And I think this is a guy who's going to quickly ingratiate himself amongst all Seahawks fans. The way things have gone this offseason, it would be surprising if he didn't very quickly become that guy. The guy that the Seahawks Nation embraces the same way 4 years ago Seahawks Nation embraced Metcalf, the way last year we embraced Tariq Woolen. It's that kind of thing. And him getting out here this quickly, as long as he can finish the game healthy and be productive, not be a Kadarius Toney from last night because of the wrist injury, as long as he doesn't do that, I think this guy is very quickly going to become a fan favorite. Obviously, pretty much everybody already knows who he is because he was a first-round pick, opposed to a guy like Woolen, who had to kind of work his way up. So very quickly, I think Seahawks Nation is going to really get into this guy. The only other thing Pete offered up that was notable in terms of players, he kind of kept mum about the whole starting left cornerback issue. Mike Jackson, Trey Brown, maybe Witherspoon too. I don't know if he's involved in that conversation. I would doubt it. But when asked who was going to be the starting left cornerback in this game, Pete basically said everybody's going to play and was generally vague about it. He didn't want to commit to anything. Obviously, I think the decision has already been made, so this is probably just him messing around a little bit, kind of like when the Cardinals refused to name their starting quarterback for this first game of the year. So that's, I don't know how people are going to feel about that. Again, I'm going to say it. I think people are turning on Mike Jackson a little too early when this guy's getting crazy hype in training camp, and he was pretty good last year on a bad defense. I think that a few bad preseason reps should not define who he is as a player, but I am at the point where I kind of want to see Trey Brown more. I am. So we'll see how this ends up playing out. Obviously, it's a game where you can sandbox it a little bit because the Rams receivers are kind of, they've been worn down a little bit, right? I mean, the loss of Cooper Kupp has a trickle-down effect on that whole room. But Carroll's not giving anything away yet. All right, so that's it for injury stuff. It's pretty good news, right? You can't ask for too much better than this. So I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming.